Welcome to stewardshipofwealth.com. Again, this is 2020. We're at a very unusual time in history for the United States. We're experiencing something called COVID-19 virus. And so there's a lot of lockdowns going on. People are being asked to quarantine. And as I was sitting there thinking about Stewardship of Wealth Ministry and what we've done, I realized we had a little bit of time on my hand. I said, I would love to start a video library of resources for people, especially young people, can go and help them make wise decisions about college, wise decisions about who they are and spending their time in, as they develop as young people. And as I was thinking more and more about that, the Lord impressed me to reach out to Mr. Lamont Dupree, who's very familiar with stewardshipofwealth.com. He's on our ministry team. He served as president. He is this amazing young man that I just admire so much. So he's actually written a couple of books, one or two is books, I think one book and many articles for us.
Yeah.
This is the first one, so there are probably many more to come. I'm sure he has several more books inside of him. And so today we're going to be introducing him to our video library series for young people that are, and their parents, who are going to be making decisions about their youth and where they need to go. Lamont, tell me a little bit about how you came about with this idea. I know you've done a lot of things, a lot of experience, a lot of talents and gifts. How did this project start?
Oh man. Well, actually, I would say it started probably when I was in college, and maybe even before that, because it's a story. And with me, my story started. I grew up in a small town, Sumter, South Carolina, and when I was in coming out of high school, like most high schoolers, I just knew I wanted to go to college, or I had to go to college. And when I enrolled, I said I was going to go to medical school, and I was going to be a psychiatrist, or I was going to go to graduate school and become a psychologist. And I enrolled. I was a biology pre-med major at Oakwood University, Oakwood College then, and had this thought in my head that I was going to go to medical school. And by the time I got to my junior year, I realized that sitting in organic chemistry class that I had this epiphany. And I was looking at these stereoisomers and trying to understand what carbon and hydrogen and oxygen and everything kind of came together, and feeling a little bit like, okay, I'm really not all into that. And I said, you know what? I don't think I'm going to medical school. And that was my epiphany. And, after that thought, I said, I'm not going to go back and do anything different, because me and God had made a decision that I was going to finish college in 4 years, or I was going to go home. And so I wasn't going to change my major. I stuck with my major. Got a degree in biology, came out not knowing exactly what I was going to do. And everybody has said, if you get a degree in biology, you've got to keep going, because there was nothing really else to do with just a degree in biology. Went from there and realized that I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so it started a journey, just trying to figure out exactly what it was. I realized what my calling was to teach. And so I ended up being a teacher. And long story short, I wanted to put together something so that students and young people wouldn't have to go through some of the same challenges I did, with trying to find themselves, trying to figure out what they wanted to do, what they were supposed to do with their lives. And, just realizing that, we're all called on this planet to do something. And it may not just be one thing, but we all have a specific gift, calling that we're supposed to use in service to others. And so, I put together this book to really challenge students, to help them understand and maybe even retool and rethink the way that they approach what they're supposed to do in life. And so that was a kind of the genesis of the book itself. Is my
experience. Yeah. Now, this is so good, because as you were talking about your story, telling your story, I learned some things about you. I didn't realize you were a biology major. I didn't realize that, you at one point was thinking about becoming a medical doctor. This is first today, and I've known you for a long time. So I'm like, wow, I'm glad you're sharing your story.
Yeah.
And then you actually wrote a book But how long did it take you to actually get down to start writing, putting something down? Because people, I've written 2 books with my wife, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just devotionals. And I knew that when I first started the project, I was very impressed by God's writing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just started coming. And after I wrote it, and I said, let me just get it out there, it was felt like I was on a mission.
Mm-hmm.
So how long did it take you when you start actually writing things down, and how did that process work for you?
Oh man. Well, the process was years in the making. Because I started and I was actually working on a different book. Because you mentioned several, and there's a couple of books that are still on the shelf. They're well, not on the shelf. They're still still in the computer, I guess. That I was working on. So I put one aside and started writing this one. So this one probably took me 2 to 3 years to really get out, because once I started writing, I would, my process was to, I would have these, like you said, just kind of inspiration to, I jotted some things down, kind of started thinking about chapters and what topics, and just started writing. And so for me, it wasn't a linear process where just started and then got to the end and was like, okay, good, and let me see how I publish it and editing and all that. That didn't happen. So once I finished, it took, like I said, it was at least a 2 to 3 year process, and maybe a little bit longer than that for me to actually get it out. So
Right.
it was a journey.
Yeah. And I know the feeling of actually getting that thing in your hand and saying, okay, it's done, and so
Mm-hmm.
excited. So I know when I first started to become an author and a publisher, I'm self-published, by the
Mm-hmm.
way. I just funded myself,
Mm-hmm.
and was able to get it out to my audience. Um, how are you? Tell us your vision for this book and what you're doing now, because you have a website,
Mm-hmm.
Lamont Dupree, so you've actually put yourself out there, and this is something you want. Tell me the vision of what you're trying to accomplish.
Excellent question. Well, actually, my journey started with me just doing. I'm a speaker and trainer. I've worked with young people for over 20 something years, and so my vision is to really get in front of young people and parents and people that love young people. And so the book is just an opportunity for me to expand my reach, where I can't go or I can't, face to face meet with someone and tell them about, the what I have in the book. The book can go, and it is on Amazon, and you can buy it from me or whatever. And so it can go places that I can't, and it also can kind of expand the message. So even if I'm at a place and I'm speaking, I can't tell them everything that's in the book. But if you
Right.
take the book, you can, read that, and ideally, it's I want it to be a kind of a manual for people, especially students that are trying to find what they want to do. I tried to write it in a very free flowing style, so it's not a hard read. It's a challenging read just because I try to challenge you in terms of the content, but it's not a hard read. I tried to make it very simple. Tried to use my humor, whatever that is, and so that you can get through it and hopefully have some life change because of it.
Great, great. So, who would be your audience
Mm-hmm.
as far as people that you like to? I know you said young people. Would there
Mm-hmm.
be other people, counselors, people, uh, educators, people that will be interested in actually getting this and that work with young people? Who's your audience that you're trying to reach out to
I
mostly?
wrote I wrote primarily to the I would say the highest middle school, high school, up to first couple of years in college. Actually, I've had some college students purchase it, and they said that they were blessed because of some of the content. Ideally, however, I wanted to get into the hands of those students that are in the valley of making a decision.
Right.
Oftentimes, once you get to college, you've already kind of decided what you think you want to do, which is, that's okay. And, I think the book can help those individuals as well. But ideally, thinking about when you're in that process of trying to decide what your life is supposed to be like and where you want to go, is geared for them. And it is geared towards, counselors and parents to pick up and give as a gift. Perhaps read it for themselves so they can have a dialogue with their student or their child. But ideally, it is written to young people. That's my audience primarily.
So in your message, in your book, what would be some key points that you have in the book that you feel like everybody needs to hear? Everybody needs to hear. Every young person needs to hear this. So key points, one or two, three key points.
All right, the first point is that, and I start out the book with this, and is thinking about the end. And when I say the end, I mean thinking about, what do you want your legacy to be? And for a lot of young people, that's not even something they think about. That's not something they consider.
I mean, legacy. I'm 14 years old. Legacy. I just gotta get out my parents' house. I'm right. Off my back. You talking
and
legacy?
And that's what they're thinking. But I start out that way because the time to start thinking about what you want your legacy to be, what you want people to say about you when you're, and we don't like to think about this, but what do they say? Because most people time we say good words about people when they're gone, right? And so my thing is to think about, what do you want people to be able to say about you? And you got to think about that now, because the decisions that you make now will impact what people say about you in the future. And because a lot of times, as teenagers, we make crazy decisions and we don't think it's going to be impactful. And we find ourselves in places and spaces that we did not anticipate when we were younger. And it can have lifelong impact. So it's important to think about that now, because the future can be impacted by your decisions now. They can either say, man, Leroy, he was a good guy. He went to college and, he did a lot of good things in the community. Or, man, Leroy, man, he started out so good. That kid, he was great. And then he got caught up and, man, I can't believe he just got out of jail. And now you got to make those decisions, and your decisions can be so impactful. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I would probably say, just kind of a broad scope, would be that school is important, but and you need to do well in school, but there are different approaches. School does not necessarily teach you to find your thing that you're supposed to do in life. And what I mean is that school it teaches you math, it teaches you English, it teaches you social studies, but there is no class. Well, there's a couple of classes that you might take to help you find your, and because the name of the book is Go Do Your Something. And I guess we should have said that from the beginning. But to find your thing that you're supposed to do. But oftentimes, for me, I didn't find my calling, my mission, my passion in a classroom. I found it being in the community, working with kids. When I was in college, I realized that my thing was teaching. And nobody told me that. I had to go through a process to learn that that was my ultimate mission. My dad was a teacher. My mom went to school for education. And so, but I pushed back on that thing. People like, Lamont, because when I would tell them I was going to be going to biology, they were like, oh, you're going to be a teacher like your dad. And I would almost curse them out because I was like, no, I'm not going to be no teacher because, it just didn't think that was what I was going to do. But I realized teaching is not necessarily a career. It's a calling. So you can be a teacher in any place. And that's everything I've done. I've done teaching. I've been a financial advisor, but I was a teacher. I was I worked at a college and I wasn't in the classroom, but I was a teacher. I have children. I'm a dad, but I'm a teacher. And I use that because it's a calling, not necessarily just a career. And just the third broad thing, just to kind of share, is that, you find yourself when you find how you can serve. And that was something that was, real important to me. And I think, when you're trying to struggle to figure out, what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go, how am I supposed to do it? When you find the level of service, how can you serve? Often you'll find what you were called to do, because God gives you that thing. Because we were all called to do service. And I don't care if you do service through what you do, service through If you're a Walmart greeter, you're serving. If you are coming in and collecting trash receptacles, you're serving. If you're working on cars, if you're an architect, if you're a realtor, if you're an entrepreneur, you are serving. And if you can find joy in that service, then you've probably found the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And so I would, if you can find where you're supposed to serve, you can find your something.
Great. Hey, Lamont, I'm looking at the time, man. This is going to be a great project for us as we build this video library at stewardshipofwealth.com. I am so excited about the future sessions we're going to have. I mean, you've got me pumped. Do you have a copy of the book in front of you anywhere?
Yeah, I was just going, this is it.
Oh, wow. Nice. That looks good.
Yes, go do your something. And it's 15 and a half questions, answers to questions every student must ask themselves about work, school, and life. So yeah, that's the full title.
Great. Perfect. Well, listen, we're going to go ahead and end our stewardshipofwealth.com session with Lamont Dupree. We'll have him back. And we're building this video library of information that can help people. We believe at Stewardship of Wealth that you have the ability to become a better steward of your wealth. And one of your wealth is not just money, but your time, how you spend your time, your talents. That's why Lamont said, how do you develop your talents and gifts so that you can find work that you enjoy, that you find pleasure in. So we look forward to having some great sessions with Lamont. You guys have a great day. Michael Vance with SOW.